Today on the show, we talk to Melbourne WebFest Director Steinar Ellingsen. Trobes Media Hub is hitting 1 year old. We look into the media industry, and Paula battles the cold to bring you the beaches of Australia. Good afternoon, my name is Sash Daldy.
And I'm Raquel Martins, and we're coming to you live from Trobes, Melbourne. We are LTYou Radio.
And what's happening in the world today, Raquel?
Money Choice customers have been left homeless, burdened with debt after a loan scandal. Australia's 4 major banks are embroiled in a scandal that has left more than 100 people in financial ruin after they were given millions of dollars in loans they could never pay back. Real estate investment company Money Choice and its director Matt George are accused of arranging these mortgages as well as filling in loan documents, including grossly overstating incomes and assets. 2 men have been arrested over the suspicious death of a man in a wood chipper near Gympie last year. Police found the body of 54-year-old Bruce Saunders in the industrial wood chopper at a rural property in Goombarian on November 13. Investigators described the scene as horrific, absolutely shocking and very distressing. Malcolm Blurden has been arrested at a house in Canning Vale after police issued a warning over the weekend about the 30-year-old, saying he was carrying a gun and was considered unpredictable and very dangerous. Mr. Blurden was arrested around 1:15 a.m. this morning after officers entered the house and negotiated with him for a period of time. A man has been charged with the murder of his elderly neighbour at his home in Adelaide's West, with the alleged killer expected to appear in court today. Emergency services were called to the house on Jellicoe Street at Flinders Park just after 5:30 p.m. Police said a 74-year-old man who resided at the home died at the scene after being assaulted with an unspecified weapon. His alleged killer, a 33-year-old who lives on the same street, was found nearby and arrested. Police have since charged him with murder. France has offered citizenship to an immigrant from Mali who climbed 4 stories up a Paris apartment block to save a boy who was about to fall from a balcony, President Emmanuel Macron says. Incredible footage emerged yesterday showing 22-year-old Mahmoud Gassama risking his life on Sunday as he climbed up the balconies to rescue the 4-year-old who was clinging to a railing and glancing at the ground below while horrified onlookers watched. Melbourne WebFest is Australia's international web series, and we'll be having a bit of a chat about that a bit later on in the show. But did you see that footage of that little boy?
I did. I watched it this morning and I couldn't believe that they were just holding on for dear life and waiting for him to scale up the balcony.
I know.
It was incredible.
There was a gentleman sort of standing on the other side of the balcony just up from where the little boy was, and you'd think he'd try and, you'd think they'd try and come from the inside of the building onto that balcony to pull him up, but no, they waited for someone to climb up the 4 stories. It's pretty...
Yeah, it was impressive, and I think it was a great gesture from France to give him the citizenship.
Yeah,
it was really deserved. And he seemed really humble as well when he accepted it and also got a job as a fireman. Whether he had qualifications, I'm not sure, but he looks like he's perfect for the job with that sort of ability. So it seems like there's a fair bit of dark news today with...
It does, doesn't it?
Murder in Adelaide and the coming murder investigation again by the wood chipping incident last year, which is now only coming into the courts.
Yeah.
So it's taken a while for that to come across.
And I was listening to a bit about that story this morning, and, to have it come forward when it happened as an accident and now it's looking like he was pushed into that or...
Yes, everything's allegedly at the moment.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll keep an eye on that. But also, are you concerned about your superannuation accounts now that this has come out in this morning's news?
It's making me think whether or not I have accounts that I don't remember. Like, obviously there's, a main account that I've got, but are there other accounts when I've had previous jobs that I haven't?
I think we're all in that, especially as you're younger, you just get signed up to whichever one your employee at the time is with, then you sort of don't understand until you get a bit older that, it's more important to accumulate it together. Yeah. And I think the government is trying to push that everyone has the one account. But now you're sort of wondering, well, which is the right account? So
it's hard
you have to
know.
Research and try and understand a little bit more about it. So,
and coming into your first job when you finish school or while you're at school, it's hard sometimes to know which is the right. So it's another tricky hurdle for us all to try and work out what's right and what's the best option.
Definitely.
Melbourne WebFest is Australia's international web series festival. The festival was it's the fourth festival of its kind in the world, and it remains the biggest celebration of web series in the Southern Hemisphere. The digital series entertainment is growing rapidly and is fast rising to challenge traditional modes of producing, distributing and engaging with screen content. The innovative web series creators are driving force in this storytelling evolution. This year's festival runs from June 28th to the 1st of July.
Welcome to Goons Incorporated.
The Australian division of Goons Inc. is the best money can buy for cannon fodder. Our state-of-the-art facilities, our cutting-edge teleportation technology allows us to instantly send any evil corporation, syndicate, gang, tribe, our hard-working thugs.
Hello. My name is Desmondo Ray, and I am aged 33 years and 3/4. I would like to confess that I am lonely, with love to offer.
Hashtag Thursday night drinks or bust. Boom!
Dang it, they tripped the fire alarm.
We're not leaving without that data.
He really needs to clear his browser history.
Everything about you screams dead mother.
I live with my dad. Dad enjoys sitting in his room all day, ever since Mother was shot in the face.
Yes! I'm sorry. I was supposed to keep that inside.
I don't think we're on the same page.
Yeah, look, the outside world, not my greatest passion.
You trying to bribe me with the chicken?
I just want to go in there, okay? I'm just going in.
Oh man, this party is L-A-M-E. I wish we all knew the same simple dance.
If you're looking for a new dance place, me and my brother will amaze. Macarena out the bush, stop, non-comparatively, chop chop. Everybody does the chop chop. Chop chop chop, chop 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 chop. You'll never want to stop. Chop chop chop, chop chop chop. Move those hands from bottom to top. It's no hard to chop chop. Chop chop chop, chop 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 chop.
Chop, 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 chop.
Fantastic, now you chop chop.
Stop it, please!
Well, that looks fabulous. And later in the show, we'll be talking to the director, Steinar Ellingsen. But we also want to talk about podcasts, which is another medium which is extremely popular, and it has been for a long time. But we thought we'd put together 5 podcasts that might grasp your interest, especially during exam time, relaxing study breaks. Even if you just want to learn something new, have a look at the 5. And then you can tweet us about it at LTYou Radio. See if there's any others that you suggest for our listeners and watchers to have a look at.
LTYou have put together 5 podcast ideas for you to listen to in the exam breaks or study times. There are thousands of podcasts out there, but we thought we'd give you a heads up and give you 5 that we really like listening to.
The general population is just fascinated by the way the brain works.
This TED Talk features cartoonist and teacher Jean Yang.
This is Australian True Crime with Michelle Laurie and Emily Webb.
In June 1980, Maria James was stabbed to death at the back of her Melbourne bookshop.
Hey, I'm Chuck and this is Josh, and we have a podcast on the audio side called Stuff You Should Know. Yep. We talk about everything from peak oil to pirates.
There you have it, 5 podcasts that you can wrap your ears around while studying or just taking a quick break.
Any of those take your fancy?
There were a few of them that looked really interesting. I haven't really gotten into podcasts and things like that. I tend to be a Netflix binger.
Yes.
But I have a lot of friends and I know a lot of people that are really into podcasts, and you know they seem to be gaining quite a bit of popularity. So
they really are. I heard an interesting I don't know if you'd call it a quote, but basically saying it's one of the more popular mediums that are continuously growing because it's free. You can create your own. There's no restrictions on what content you can create, and there's thousands upon thousands on the special podcasting sites or apps that you can use. Yep. These are just 5 that we thought might be of interest to people because there's true crime, which is, it's very popular at the moment. There's one called All in the Mind, which sort of focuses on psychology and how the brain works and how it can affect your personality versus your physical health and things like that. And then there's at the end there was How Stuff Works. So basically those guys just run through anything you could think of and how it works, whether it's a live organism or whether it's a small, computer or anything. It's pretty cool.
Could be pretty. Some of those episodes, I'm sure, would be really interesting, depending on, what you're interested in and what their episodes are showing. There could be some really cool ones in there.
Absolutely. And also, just before we sort of move on, I wanted to suggest that there are a lot of headspace type ones out there for when you're studying as well. And it also goes through what are the best ways of getting all of that information that you need for the exams into your brain. And I find that really interesting. So I hope that you guys out there have been taking advantage of it. And again, tweet us. Make sure that you can tell us what we should listen to as well, because we always like suggestions, don't we?
Definitely. It'd be great to get onto some podcasts that are, really interesting there's so many out there, like you said. So it'd be good to get your recommendations on what we should watch, the ones we should get going.
Absolutely. And were there any WebFest films that you were keen to see?
Oh, there were quite a few that popped up in that video that look really interesting. That dancing and the song at the end was really eye-catching. So it'll be good to have a chat with Steinar and see what he can tell us about it.
Okay, Steinar, thank you for joining us on the show today. I hope you can hear us.
How long has WebFest been running?
This will be our 6th year now, so it's not a long tradition, but it is a tradition.
How many submissions from when you started to now has it gone up or?
Yeah, it's more than doubled. We had 240 submissions this year, all up. The program for this year, we're going to screen 85 series from 16 different countries, so it's quite an international festival. So
how many of those are Australian?
That is a good question. Off the top of my head, it is something around the 40% mark, I reckon.
Yep, that's pretty good turnout.
Yeah.
Do you have many ex-students of yours that are involved, and if so, are they making the films or are they behind the scenes?
Well, there's a bit of both.
Well, we'll get Steinar back in a minute. That's okay. Here he comes. He likes to create havoc for us just to keep us on our toes, I think. There we go. Did you hang up on me, Steinar?
I think I did hang up on you.
That's all right. We'll get back into it then. Yeah, no touching. What do you think it's important to acknowledge the new digital producers now rather than just using old school film? It seems like online and digital is the way to go at the moment.
Yeah, look, I think that's the case, and I think for anyone starting out in the film and TV industry now, in terms of where the funding is, it's really hard to get anywhere without making digital first. So, if looking at Screen Australia and the way that they're funding screen productions at the moment for people who don't have an extremely long resume or a lot of accolades to their name in terms of getting funding for your first professional project.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get anything unless you've got something in the bag, which very often then people go to web series, because I think probably the best thing for creatives in terms of making a web series is that you put it out there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You connect with an audience straight away. You know, the old short film route was very much you make the thing, you submit to festivals, and you can't show it to anyone for a year. So in terms of actually coming to people, to production companies or networks or funding bodies and asking for money now, if you've made a web series and you've got an audience, you know, you've got more currency to negotiate things because you can tell them, look, I made this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like I saw a few in the preview trailer there that I've seen on, online at ABC, and some really famous sort of faces for us to see, which is, I think, great to be having them involved in the WebFest as well. I mean, obviously, it must be benefiting them as independents.
Yeah, I think it's kind of turned there's a commercial component to web series now as well that 3 years ago was more or less non-existent. So I guess from the festival perspective, we've got a new challenge now where we're evaluating projects that were made for $5,000 up against projects that were made for more than $1 million.
Wow.
So that makes things a little bit hard, but that's why we've got different selections for the festival. So we have something we call the spotlight category, which is projects that narrowly missed out on our official selection, but that we think is really, really good. But they're all projects that are made for less than $50,000.
Awesome. Just one on that. What is the advantage of producing on web platforms like YouTube? Because that seems to have boosted a lot of different people's sort of careers over the last, 10, 12 years that it's been progressing. I mean, it's obviously not the only platform, but it seems to be one of the sort of forerunners.
Yeah, look, I think YouTube is fantastic if you're lucky. YouTube is amazing, and if you're consistent, if you're pumping out content weekly or daily, it's absolutely amazing. It's if you get one hit, things can snowball from there. I think YouTube as a platform has shown itself to be not as easy for people who are working in the scripted content sort of domain. I mean, there's plenty of success stories there as well, but I guess it's kind of it's not always as easy for people who do scripted content or documentaries.
Oh, I can imagine.
To kind of cut through the noise of music videos and sport fails and
cat videos and
so but having said that, there's certainly a number of success stories in the scripted domain there as well, and we have a few very good examples of that in Australia, like Starting From Now, which it's no longer running because they've wrapped it up after 5 seasons, but that was the first lesbian web series in Australia, and they've got more than 70 million channel views on YouTube, and it's as far as I know the biggest lesbian web series in the world, and they're still racking up views. And Julie Kalsev, who is the creator, will be our keynote speaker on opening night.
Wonderful. Which is a great segue, because tell us about opening night and the WebFest itself. That's why we've got you on here.
Yes. So the festival, the opening night is a networking event. We have Friday, that's the 28th of June.
Yes.
I should know these things.
It's roughly a month away, yep.
Yes. So it's from the 28th of June till the 1st of July. Yes, opening night is a straight up networking event with a keynote from Julie. We have a series of professional development workshops at La Trobe in the city on the Friday. And then we have screenings Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday at the State Library.
Wonderful.
in the Village Roadshow Theatrette, we also have a number of discussion panels looking at things from diversity to screenwriting to what we've now called the blockbuster web series, which is fun that we can use that word when we're talking about web series. And also a panel around audience strategies. And then, of course, we also have a pitching competition, which is sponsored by the ABC, which is currently open for submissions.
Okay,
And,
there you go.
So go to melbournewebfest.com and get into it. The prize there is, well, first of all, if you get shortlisted to pitch, get to pitch to a full house at the State Library. Last year we had about 200 people there, plus a panel of industry judges. And the winner of the pitching competition will get $5,000 that will take them to France to attend a writing residency there with a bunch of Hollywood screenwriters, and then they'll come back and develop their script with the ABC with the intention of making an iView original series.
That's incredible.
That is a pretty awesome setup.
Yeah, and the event itself is just magic. It is so much fun, fast paced. You've got 2 minutes to do an elevator pitch, and then you get chased off stage.
Oh, wonderful!
And so it's a bit brutal, but it's not quite Shark Tank, but it's
close.
It's very, very fun. And then, of course, the big punchline to the weekend is our award show, which is hosted by a fellow called Dean Hagelin, who is a Canadian actor, probably most famous for his role in the X-Files series. But he's also a stand-up comedian and an artist, and has played in a web series recently as well. So we have 24 awards to give out. Some have got cash prizes. We've got 8 partner festivals that are taking picking series from our program to be directly entered into their festivals.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today, Steinar. It's been great to catch up again, and look forward to the WebFest at the end of the month.
Hope to see you there.
I will do. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
That was great. It's great to talk to him about that festival. It'd be exciting to go along to that and even have a look. I'm sure they'll be streaming that, and you'll be able to watch that online if you can't get tickets to it. But that sounds super exciting. So if there is one thing that Australia is well known for, it's their beautiful beaches. And with winter just around the corner, many people tend to avoid the cold water. I know I do. But Paula has set out with the aim to prove that there is still plenty of time to enjoy our beautiful beaches.
So for our last Is It Worth Your Money segment, we thought we would do something a little bit different for you guys. Seeing as holidays are coming up, we thought we'd go down to the Mornington Peninsula and suss out some potential hidden gems in there. So I'm super excited. Astrid's coming along, and so let's see if it's good and if it's worth your money.
5, 4, 3, 2. 2, 1.
We are here, beautiful Mount Martha. It's a beautiful autumn day, and we've just come back from doing some cliff jumping. Now we're going to go head to a different beach and see what that's like. But so far, it's looking good. It's looking like it's definitely worth your money. Guys, that is a wrap on our Mornington adventure. We have been all the way from Mornington Beach to Portsea Beach. We're at Portsea Beach right now. We've just watched the sunset. It was absolutely beautiful, and we're gonna head back home now. Bye.
Wow, welcome, Paula.
Thank you.
Tough life you lead. Tell us about Mornington.
Yeah, so I think we wanted to do something a little bit different because, as I said in the package, it is coming to mid-year holidays, and so we kind of wanted to do something that was a bit out of Melbourne, you know, because a lot of people love doing road trips, and so we thought, why don't we just do one and see, you know, suss out some of the maybe not so well-known spots around Mornington, because everyone knows Rye, Sorrento, you know, we didn't want to state the obvious and be like, hey, you can go here, but we know there's a few beaches that aren't necessarily like, you know,
they look stunning.
Yeah, people have like found them and they're almost still a bit hidden, and so we kind of wanted to suss those out and tell people this is the, you know, this is the kind of places that you can go and you can visit in Mornington as well.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Which was your favourite of the two beaches that you guys went to?
Probably the Pillars is my favourite. I'd been there a few times. They're very different. So the Pillars is more for like, you know, the views and maybe doing some cliff jumping, but there isn't really a beach. Like you don't really, like you can't surf obviously there, and there's heaps of beautiful coral and the water's clear, and so, you know, you can do a lot of fun activities there, like snorkeling or cliff jumping, or even just chilling in the rocks, taking some photos. And then the other one is more like of a surf beach, and it's you like to walk and stuff. But they're both beautiful and like really different.
As a student, obviously you guys drove to Mornington?
Yeah.
So you can carpool, save some money
Yeah,
that way?
totally. Yeah. So I think it took us from here, I think it was about an hour and 20 minutes. So, I mean, it depends where you want to go. The Pillars, which were in Mount Martha, were a lot closer. So I think that took us about an hour and 15. Yeah. Whereas the last beach we went to, that was kind of at the end of the peninsula. And so that was an extra 20 minutes. But to be honest, the ride itself, like the road and everything is beautiful. You can go along the coast. And so it doesn't even feel like it's that long.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess by those screams when you guys hit the water that it was a bit cold.
Yeah, look, I know it's a bit of a funny one to do because winter's coming, but we still want to show maybe, you know, jumping in the water is a bit extreme because it was freezing. I don't know. I don't know that I would recommend it, but even just to go and visit, take photos, chill, like walk the beach, you know, it's still such a fun.
Or something?
Yeah, exactly. You can have a bonfire on the beach. It's still such a fun thing to do during the winter. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
There's heaps of along Ryes, like the Mornington Peninsula, there's a few different places you can do them, but you can do like dolphin swims and seal swims, and they're really cool. I did one of those last year.
Yeah, as long as you've got a wetsuit on.
Yeah.
It's fine. But, I mean, you end up getting used to it anyway. It's just the initial...
It's very refreshing.
Yeah.
Like, wakes you up.
And I know that along the peninsula as well, there are other things that you can do apart from the, going to the beach, which I think you can do, like strawberry picking. There's like the gondola rides, so you can have a look at the whole bay. There's like, forest and vineyards and heaps of things. So it's a really cool place to go during the holidays.
Oh, wonderful. So definitely worth your money then.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yep.
Yep.
Time for a road trip, I think.
Yeah, shall we go
these
now?
holidays? See you guys.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for showing us Mornington.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Look forward to, having a holiday day.
Yeah. Go suss it out.
Thanks, Paula.
Cool.
With the Media Hub about to conclude its first year open in La Trobes Agora, we spoke to Amel, the Hub's technical operator and gatekeeper, about the importance of the Hub and its contribution to practical education.
I really enjoy production, so that's why I decided to go with a career in the media industry. I studied it at university, and I found out I was a real tech head, so I pursued that, and it's been really good. It's been a challenging journey, but it's also been really fun. And I like that it is a bit difficult sometimes because otherwise it's absolutely boring. The weekly programs out of here are streamed to Facebook. They also stream to a live stream platform, which we have an embed code for, so I think Upstart Magazine have that on their webpage at the moment at upstart.net.au, and that can be put anywhere, so it really is pretty flexible space. I think what I love most about the Media Hub is seeing all the groups that come in every semester. So all the students that come through their ideas and actually working with them and showing them how to use the space and seeing what they actually do with it. That's probably the best part. And it's really fun meeting them all and listening to their ideas and helping them make it happen. That's for, journalists, up-and-coming journalists and people that want to work in media to try Upstart Live, because you're making so much content in such a small period of time, and it's very close to replicating certain deadlines you might need to meet in the real world. Also, we're having a real shift now from broadcast to online content, and it's becoming more and more relevant to create videos for online purposes and shoot interviews and make promotional videos for companies. So that's really what we do here and what I've observed that is happening in this subject. As well as it being a news-based subject, you're having all of those stories at your fingertips on your phone, on your laptop. You don't have to go to a TV and turn on TV to watch it. It's just there in your hands already. A bit of advice that I possibly could give to people that don't feel comfortable in front of a camera is that you shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes or feeling foolish, because we all do at some point, and you're only just going to get better and improve with time. And at the end of the day, you're your harshest critic, so you shouldn't be worried. So the 3 shows that we've had coming out of the Media Hub this semester, 1 of 2000, they are all really great and they have all their own strengths and weaknesses, and it's been such a strong season for La Trobe Live, and it's just been really good to kind of see that progression from when we first opened the Hub in semester 2 of 2017 to now, and there's been such a huge improvement. And I'm just, to where you guys were at the beginning of semester to now, it's been a big leap, so you should be proud.
I've got to say, Amel has done an amazing job this semester.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for helping us.
It's been amazing having her here to help us out and, help us when there's been issues and things happen. So thank you, Amel, for all your amazing work.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Melbourne is well known for its large cycling culture, and whether you ride to work for fitness or hit the mountains for the thrill, everyone has their own reason for loving cycling. Today on the show we have Dan, also a cycling enthusiast, but with a bit of a twist. He's turning back time with his full-time work as a high-wheel bicycle builder. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Hi, how are you?
We're well, thank you.
So what is a high-wheel bicycle?
A high-wheel bicycle was the first proper bicycle that people considered that would travel long distance comfortably and do high speeds. So they did up to 50 kilometres an hour. I've actually clocked some of my riders on 52, 53 kilometres an hour on Strava. And you could do 100 miles in a day or 160 kilometres quite comfortably.
Wow. And you did do a long distance ride, didn't you?
Yeah, we rode the full length of the Murray River from Cancoban, which starts up in the Snowy Mountains at Mount Kosciuszko. Then we rode right through to Goolwa, which is over in South Australia, and that's the Murray Mouth.
I'll get to why you were interested, but just going on this, what were the challenges from going from Kosciuszko all the way through?
For me personally, it's actually the logistics and organising the ride and making sure everybody's happy and they enjoy their day. There's plenty of food and water on the support vehicle. And once I've got that covered, you just pedal. It's easy. That's the fun bit.
And do you go, is it on roads or footpaths or?
Roads.
Okay, roads.
Yeah. We do about 100 kilometres a day on those long distance rides. Wow. That's plenty. That's enough to take lots of photos and muck around, and it's very funny actually. We have a lot of fun.
How did you get interested in high wheels in the first place?
It's been a passion of mine since I was a child.
Yeah.
And life heads in all sorts of directions, and as the saying goes, life's what happens when you make grand plans. And it sort of led to a few changes in my career, and then I got to a point where I wanted to create something for me, instead of looking at to create a career as what everybody sets out to do, but I actually set out to create a living.
Yeah.
So to create a way of existing and a way of living and doing things I love doing and facilitating that and then making that work on an economic side. And that was where I sort of created the business. About 5 years ago, I went full-time into it.
Was that scary to drop everything else to go full-time into something that is quite niche?
It was, although I've always run my own businesses. I've actually only had a job for a couple of years. And so it was more natural for me to create something in that way than it was to actually do a traditional functional job.
Yeah.
So there's a great deal of, a traditional functional job. You have boundaries that you can work within, which works very well for most people, and you turn up at a time and you know what you need to do. Yeah. And generally, this day and age, we work in reasonable workplaces with good people and good systems and superannuation and all the benefits that come with that. And you can go home and leave it behind. But my personality doesn't tend to allow that compartmentalising my life into different sections. So for me, it sort of takes on a form, and I'll be sitting there in the middle of the night thinking of, if I wake up, I'll think about what I do and what I'm doing each day, and life's all kind of one thing. Yeah. And so doing my own business means that it actually is it's a full-time job in the sense that it is always there. I don't have set hours because it's just always happening.
Yeah,
there's no sort of stopping and starting and any difference there.
Yeah.
And how do you, they're not like normal bike parts, I'm going to assume. Obviously the big wheels aren't. But how do you find all the parts to build them, and where do you get those from?
I make all the parts.
Wow.
So the hub, the rims are rolled. There are a couple of different sections I use. Steel rim, which is more traditional, and then an aluminium rim for higher performance. I make the spokes. The forks are formed. They're a blade. Try like a tapered shape, so there's nothing available, even tubing, that even comes close to what I use there. So that's actually formed out of a flat plate. I cut it out and form the shape, and do the seams. The backbone's the same. I do start off with a tube with that one and then taper it and ovalize it, and it's shaped for each wheel. So each wheel size is different for each person, as well as what they do with it. So a race bike is massive wheel, very low seat height. You get everything as compact as you can for high speeds.
Yeah, right.
Get the big wheel in there. And then a bike for cruising around town, doing tight stuff.
Yeah.
You'll open that gap up and make it a little bit more relaxed in the geometry. And touring bikes are sort of, or general purpose, are about in between.
Yeah, nice.
That's incredible.
You've had some pretty interesting orders and delivery. You've delivered around the world.
Yeah,
and you've been involved in ads and things like that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
I just never know who's going to call next and what's going to happen next. It's so interesting. The people involved are really interesting. And, I've got clients in like northern Thailand doing 20,000 kilometres a year.
Wow.
I don't even do that in my car anymore.
Yeah.
When I lived in a country area, you do those kilometres, but otherwise, he's riding his bike more than the average person drives or travels in general.
And you custom made one to jump, was that?
Yeah, I got this phone call, and it's quite funny because I think when you come down to like an advertising agency, they'll have a brief from a client, and the client says, we want to do this, and then they'll set out to find that.
Yeah.
Well, when they set out, they wanted a penny farthing involved. When they rang me, all of a sudden what they had scripted and the whole idea they started with went and just completely changed. And we're sort of going along and discussing it as we went. And she's like, could we jump it? And I'm like, well, we haven't actually jumped one over a skate ramp before, but you know what? Yeah, we can, and we can do it, and I'll make something that works. And it just it worked really well. Yeah.
And how long does it take you to make the bikes for your clients? And is it a long process? Is it a personal process?
It's very personal. So the whole design, and quite often we're kind of conditioned now with consumerism, and the consumerism culture has a lot to answer for. In the sense that people are so used to taking what's available. So you go to a shop and you go in there and say, what have you got? And the shop owner, or if it's like Kmart, it's like, this is what's there, you buy it or you don't buy it. That's the price. And so people often ask, what can you make me? And I'm like, well, you need to tell me what you want. What do you want to do with it? And then we sit down and break down each component and look at each thing and see what level they want to go to, and you find out where someone's coming from. So if you want to get out there and you want a reliable bike that'll last and do long distance, it's going to be, that's the main focus. And then you get others that love style things and all different stuff. So we go through it very personally. And I do one every sort of 10 days.
Yeah.
And it varies because, of course, sometimes you can be more productive. We have holidays and travel and the usual life function, family things in there. And that's all got to be factored in. I budget for one every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'll actually put an order, it's a build list together.
Cool.
And each person gets a 2-week period that they get locked into. And usually I deliver earlier on that because I do build them a little bit quicker than every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And generally the waiting list is somewhere between 3 and 6 months most of the time.
Wow.
It sort of varies.
So it's just taken off really in a way.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That is so. It sounds like such an exciting job. It's constantly moving. It's constantly, you'll have different requests from different clients. So it keeps you on the ball, I guess.
It really does, and I guess that's the side. And these sort of things are very personality based in the way that you can't really. It's got an element of surprise to it and an element of change. So we can't all shift our plan or our thinking quickly, and I'm a very planned person and very considered. So I've got to kind of have boundaries in place so that all these changes happen around me.
Yeah.
And I can have a basic framework in place. That means it gives me flexibility in between. And it is always changing. And, I never know where I'm going to end up in. Like I'll set out and think, gee, I've got no travel organise this year, and then something happened somewhere. Or,
and you're off.
Yeah, we had like the International Veteran Cycle Association rally in Indonesia, in Bali. We had 8,300 or so riders.
That's
Not
incredible.
all on high wheels.
No,
there was probably
still.
about 50 or 60 high wheels at the most.
That's awesome. And you're, we're going to have you out in the quad a bit later to teach Astrid, one of our co-workers, just how to get on the farthing. And yeah, so if you'd stick around with us, that would be amazing.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, coming to the end of our show, we look into the future, and many of us are reaching the end of our degrees this year, and so we're going to start looking to work in the industry.
Yes.
Now, our very own Sash is lucky enough to have a couple of jobs already in the industry, and she shared with us what it's like to work in live production.
Hey guys, well today I am taking you on the road with me in a job that is called a link operator. It is a media job which entails me driving a satellite vehicle around. What then I do is send footage. We do live crosses from here. It's a little master control room, if you will, that can go on the road and can send back footage live from pretty much wherever I get sent in Melbourne. So I'm known as a freelancer. I can move between networks. So currently today I am at Channel 7 and I am out at the Cloud. We're here for, at the moment, I think it's a house fire. They're still determining whether it is arson or an accident. So there's police around and I'm holed up in here because it's raining pretty heavily out there at the moment, but currently also just sending some footage back that the cameraman has already shot. So it is now 6 o'clock. We should be going to air very soon. I have done a full circle today and we are back at the Alfred Hospital to do a live cross about one of the stories that I attended earlier today. So let's have a look at it.
It's fighting for life tonight after here we come. Talking to Mitch. On fire as he slept. Tegan Doling is at the Alfred Hospital this evening. Tegan, have police interviewed her yet?
And there you have it. That is literally less than 30 seconds on air, but the job's done. Hopefully I can pack up and go back to base now and maybe even home. Hey guys, well today I'm at the ABC. It's now 6:45. Obviously the news goes to at 7 p.m. here in Melbourne for the ABC. Nothing on the cards for Link Truck today, so sometimes we get sent in to do other jobs, such as this small studio behind me. I come in here, we set up what's considered a live cross as well, goes straight through to another studio, sometimes for ABC 24, and we just make sure it all goes to air, that the talent is comfortable, has water, can hear the master control and can see what they're doing.
So how does this big beast of a vehicle work, you may ask? It is run by a generator that is in the back of the vehicle and starts by simply pushing the start button and off we go. So in a live cross scenario, you would be seeing pictures on those monitors. I would be testing the audio levels for the talent through master control. But also, most importantly, I would be looking at the signal strength of either the satellite dish or the mast, depending on what I'm using on the day. And that is the most important because that gets the live cross actually live, and that goes through to the studio, which then bounces back to people's televisions. And like anything else, when you turn it on, you then turn it off. And that's me for the day. Thanks for joining me.
That looks like a lot of fun, Sash. I mean, except the early mornings.
Yeah, look, it can be really fun and it is a job that you never know what you're going to be doing on the day, which is what I enjoy. It's not monotonous in a way because, yeah, you could be sent anywhere in Melbourne or out of Melbourne, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And how did you come about finding the two jobs?
It started just because I talked to a lecturer here at La Trobe. He remembered that I enjoyed working with cameras, and when one of his ex-students gave him a call and said, we need someone at Channel 7, do you know anyone that would want to train up? He remembered me, and it was just word of mouth. And
awesome.
My advice to students out there is to make the most of talking to your peers, but also the lecturers and tutors, because they have so much experience and a wealth of it, and you know, to be able to talk to them on any level and gain some insight is really basically how I am doing that job. And being a freelancer allows me to move between networks. I'm not contracted specifically to Channel 7 or ABC. And it has its benefits where you can work anywhere, but it's also hard because you're not full-time. So some weeks you get, 5 shifts. One time you might get 1 in a fortnight. You really need to figure out if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you've been studying while you've been working, so what have been the advantages and disadvantages of doing that?
Advantages have been getting the experience as you're going, especially for being able to involve such things like this. It's been really great to be able to come and bring what I've already learned, but also vice versa, taking what I've learned from here out on the road. Yeah, that's probably the main thing. Studying and working as a mature age student as well is really, really difficult, and it's not for the faint-hearted. So you've really got to make sacrifices as well. And I think at the end of the day, it is a certain chunk of your life that is worth doing if you really want to do it.
Definitely.
So,
well, all the best for your continued. I think this is your last semester, isn't it?
Yeah, fingers crossed this is my last semester. So I'm actually going to miss this place, but it's been wonderful working with you as well and the crew behind me. So, yeah.
Likewise. Now, we have Astrid out with Penny Farthing Dan, and he's going to show us a little bit about how you can ride the high wheel bicycles, and we're going to try and get Astrid to have a go, which should be
exciting
fun.
Stuff.
Yes, so we're here in the Simpson lawn with Dan again, and this amazing, incredible bicycle. I want you to talk me through the bicycle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody looks at the big wheel, and it's often all AC, and it's kind of like there's all sorts of little components. So the front forks are tapered and blade shaped, so all the way down, and if you look around this way, they're like a thin, almost like a shape of a sword, and then the backbone is tapered down the bottom and ovalized as well, and that's for the feel and design of the bike, the greatest amount of strength. And the head stem, the other one people ask is where does it steer? It steers right on top of the wheel, up the top there. And then down the back we have 2 steps. Traditionally they only have 1, but I put 2 on because when you go downhill, it's really good to step down on the step and go down lying over the bike like luge sort of style. And I've hit like 70, 75 kilometers per hour doing that style of downhill.
Wow.
And I guess everybody says, how do you get on and how do you get off? So we'll do a demonstration.
Yes.
Put on the back step, push off, on the seat and pedal.
That's amazing. Wow.
So it's quite easy. It does take a little bit of practice though. If you can ride a normal bike, you can ride one of these. Just takes a little bit of rethinking and sort of getting used to where your step is and handlebars and everything. It's like a spatial awareness thing. And the rest is balance. And then once you get used to it, you can just go. You sit up there and you can sit on it all day. It's very comfortable.
How is it to drive around in Melbourne?
You have to be a little bit careful. One of my favourite questions is people say, what do you do at stoplights? Well, when they're red, I stop. And when they're green, I go through them. Because I figure if I go through them when they're red, I might have an accident. So it's quite a funny answer. But anyway, it is actually simple to step up and step down on them. And as you lead up to the traffic lights, if they've been green for a while, you might slow down, expect them to change red. We know they cycle. If they're green, you can go a bit slower. If they're red, you can go a bit slower until they turn green, and then you race through. And you just keep an eye on what's around you. Traffic gives you heaps of space, which is really good.
All right, sounds easy. The last question, are you allowed to carry them on the trains here in Melbourne?
Yes, you are, actually. It's really good. So country trains in Victoria, you can. Country trains in New South Wales won't let you take them, but the city trains in Sydney and Melbourne will. And then Victoria's great for its public transport. You can go anywhere.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan. And I think we're heading back to the studio.
That looks awesome. I think I'd have a bit of a hard time. I'm quite a short
Yeah,
human, so I think I'd have a bit of a hard time.
I've had one go with Dan a couple of years ago, and I was, I was scared. Let's just say. All right.
So our show is coming to its last few minutes, and we wanted to share with you a bit about our journey in the studio here at La Trobe, and reflect back on the fun and the bumps of LTYou Radio.
My role this semester for LTYou, and I guess the subject called Upstart Live, I am in charge of the entertainment packages, or Is It Worth Your Money segment. Hi everyone, we're here at the Comedy Festival. Here we are at the Queen Victoria Market. Hello everyone, we're here with Rachel from the Morning Journal. We're about to go into the Dog Lover Show, as you can see. Woo!
My role in LTYou has been to run a segment called Club Experience. I've been a part of the Music Society, I've played Quidditch, I've danced some K-pop, and 2 weeks ago I was playing footy. It's a really good opportunity to meet people and get out of your comfort zone.
You know, it's just been an awesome experience, and it's also given me a lot of experience in terms of, you know, camera work, editing, presenting. It's really given me a lot of confidence in terms of being in front of the camera.
I am the vision switcher control person, so I control all the shots and all that jazz.
I'm the producer of the show, and my role during the week is to come up with content, spread that between our team members, and then when the show comes to airing, I have the rundown. I look after when everything's happening, when everything's supposed to finish.
So I'm the sound operator of our show, and I do sound. So I make sure all the mics are on levels. I'll be managing the producer's text mics and the mic sound levels for the packages.
3, 2, 1, roll tape.
Well, we present together. We've been doing it throughout most of the show. I've had a couple of weeks on and off, but you've been here holding the fort.
I think it's been a really good experience working with Sash and working with a few of the others as well. Being able to present, it's a lot trickier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's a great experience. It teaches you how to think on the spot, how to talk shit well.
You're working so closely with these people, you're, you know, hours and hours of editing and filming, and, you know, you just make such great friendships with everyone.
Good afternoon, my name is Sasha Doherty.
And I'm Raquel Martins, and we're coming to you live from La Trobe, Melbourne, and welcome to LTYou Radio.
Like, what the fuck? I actually have Astrid and Paula out on the campus talking about Anzac Day.
And we're going to be asking them about the autonomous bus. And let's move.
I don't know how this is looking.
Okay, quick shout out to first of all Mel. She's been amazing. She's been so patient and kind to us, and she's really taught us a lot, hasn't she? Especially with the live cross.
And thanks to the loan office, especially Jess and Max.
We love you guys. Thanks for being patient. Okay, for the last time, back to you guys.
Oh, that was incredible.
That was. It's so
I don't
nice
want to
to look
leave
back.
now,
I
but
know.
it is all we have time for today. And unfortunately, it is our last show. Thank you for tuning in and all the support to the show and the people that have been helping us put it together.
Definitely. Also, a big shout out to the team in the back.
Yeah, like
we couldn't have done it without you guys.
Thank you
You're
so
amazing.
much. This is goodbye for now, but not forever.
We'll be back hopefully. You'll see our faces somewhere else.
Yeah, and maybe we can catch up again for lunch sometime soon. But this time, you guys are buying. Well done, mate.